Hi everyone, I am Dr.R.JAMUNA Devi, Assistant Professor of Commerce. Today we discuss about company. First, introduction to company. A company is a legal entity formed by individuals or a group of conduct business. It has its own legal identity, separate from its owners, allowing it to enter into contracts, own assets, and incur liabilities in its own name. The primary goal of a company is usually to generate profits for its owners or shareholders. One key feature is limited liability, meaning the personal assets of the owners are protected from the company debts. Companies can take various forms such as also proprietorship, partnership, or corporations. They also offer a continuity, meaning the can continue to exist even its ownership change. This make companies a crucial part of modern economics, enabling large scale operations and investment. Next, definition of companies. Linley defined as a company is an organized entity created by individuals to engage in business. So characterized by the separation of ownership and management and the ability to own property and enter into contract. Next, we discuss about characteristics of company. Separate legal entity means that a company is recognized as a distinct from its owners or shareholders in the eyes of the law. These legal characteristics offer numerous benefits and protection to the company and its stakeholders. Here are the 7 points that explain what is means for a company to have a separate legal entity. First one is distinct legal entity. See, a company is considered an independent person in legal terms. It can own property, incur debts, and engage in business transactions under its own name, separate from its owners. Second, ownership independence. The company's assets and liabilities are distinct from those of its owners or shareholders. This separation ensures that the personal property of shareholders is not a risk for company debts unless a fraud or personal guarantees are involved. Third one is ability to assure and be assured. Yeah, companies can initiate legal actions or be issued in its own name. This provides protections to the shareholders as they are not personally liable in legal matters unless they have personally guaranteed the company debts. And fourth one is perpetual existence. So unlike partnership or sole proprietorship, a company's existence does not depend on the lifespan of its own shareholder. Even if the owners change or pass away, the company continues to the separate as an independent entity. Next, taxation as a separate entity. A company being separate from its owners is responsible for paying taxes on its income. This is different from other business structures where the business income is passed directly to the owners who then pay taxes individually. Next, ownership transferability. So shareholders is a company can freely transfer the ownership by selling shares without restricting the company's operations. This allows for business continuity as a change in ownership do not affect the legal standing of the companies. Next, borrowing capacity. So as a separate entity, a company can borrow money in its own name, securing loans or issuing bonds. This means that the company financial obligations are independent of its shareholders, reducing the risk for individual owners. Next, limited liability. Here I explained what is limited liability. The first one is protection of personal assets. So one of the most significant features of limited liability is the personal asset of the company. Owners or shareholders are protected. This means that is the company's incurs a debt or faces legal actions. So creditors can only go after the company's asset, not the personal assets of the owners. This safeguard the owners from losing personal property, such as the homes or savings in the event of the company faces financial difficulties. Next, financial risk is capped. In this limited liabilities are structures and owners or shareholders. Financial risk is limited to the amount they have invested in the company. If the company is sued or faces in financial loss, the maximum amount that the shareholders can lose is the value of the shares or investment in the business. This encourages people to invest in companies without the fears of being held personally responsible for the company debts. Third one is attracting investors. So limited liabilities makes companies more attractive to investors, since investors know their personal assets are protected and they are only risking the money they invest. They are more likely to contribute capital. This structure facilitates the raising of funds through the stock sales or other means supporting the company's growth. The fourth one is corporate debt and personal liabilities. With limited liabilities, the company is treated as a separate entity that bears the responsibility for the debts. So creditors can also only claim against the company assets, not the personal wealth of the shareholders directors. This separation allows one more debt without risking the personal financial of the stakeholders. Next, facilitates the business growth and risk taking. So limited liabilities encourages entrepreneurs and companies to take business risk that they might otherwise avoid. Knowing that personal finance are protected allows for greater investment in innovation, expansion, and new ventures. This promotes business growth as a owners can pursue more opportunities without the fears of losing personal wealth. And next, expectation of limited liabilities. There are certain situations where limited liabilities does not apply. For instance, if owner's personalities guarantees a loan, engages in fraudulent activities, or fail to separate personal and business transactions. These expectations ensure that limited liabilities is not abused and that there are consequences for a wrongful act. Next, reputation and credit worthiness. So limited liabilities may influence how a company is perceived by creditors and lenders. While it protects shareholders, creditors might see the company as a higher risk because they can only claim company assets in the event of a default. As a result, companies with limited liabilities faces higher interest rate or requires personal guarantees to secure loan or credit lines. So perpetual successions, detail explained. Perpetual succession refer to the continuous existence of a company independent of changes in ownership, management, or the death of its shareholders or members. This characteristics is fundamental features of many business structures, partially corporation, and ensure that the company can operate indefinitely. Next, characteristics, transferability of a shares. So transferability of a shares refers to the ability to shareholders to sell or transfer the ownership in a company to other easily. This characteristics are vital as it enhances liquidity, making shares more attractive to investors who value the options to exist the investment when needed. In public companies, share can be traded on stock exchanges, allowing for quick transaction without significant impact on shares prices. However, private companies may impose restriction on share transfers to maintain control among existing shareholders. Proper documentation such as stock transfer form is often required to ensure accurate record keeping. Regulatory framework down in the transfer of shares, particularly for the public companies to protect investors and uphold market integrities. Overall, the transferability of shares significantly influence investment strategies, ownership dynamic, and corporate governance. And fifth one is separate management and ownership. The principles of separate management and ownership distinguish the role of shareholders and executives within a company. In this structure, shareholders provide capital and hold equity in the company. So while the management team oversees daily operation and decision making, this separation allows for professional management as executives can bring expertise and experience to run the business effectively. It also enables shareholders to focus on their investment without being involved in day-to-day operations. Furthermore, it enhances accountability as the management is responsible to the board of directors who represent the interest of the shareholders. This division can lead to better strategic planning and operational efficiency, promoting long-term growth. Overall, the separation of management and ownership is fundamental to corporation governance and contribute to a company stability and success. Sixth one is rising capital. So rising capital is a critical functions of companies seeking to fund their operations, expansions, or new projects. So companies can raise capital through various methods such as issuing shares which allow investor to purchase ownership stake in exchange for during additionally. Companies may issue bonds, borrowing funds that must be rapid with interest, providing an alternative to equity financing. The ability to raise capitals is partially advantageous for corporations as they can access large pool of investment through public offering. This influx of capital enables companies to invest in research and development, marketing, and infrastructure. So, driving growth and competitiveness. Furthermore, a well-structured capital raising strategy can enhance a company's creditworthiness and investors' confidence. Ultimately, effective capital raising is essential for sustaining operation and achieving long-term business objectives. The seventh one is regulatory compliance. So regulatory compliance refers to a company's adherence of laws, regulation and standards set by the government and regulatory bodies. So companies must comply with various regulations that govern financial reporting, corporate governance, labor practices and environmental standards to maintain transparency and accountability. So compliance ensure that companies operate legally and ethically, minimizing the risk of fines, penalties or legal actions. It also fosters investor confidence as a adherence to regulation signals a commitment to good practices and corporate responsibilities. So organization often completely compliance program to monitor and ensure adherence to the regulations, which may include training, can result in reputationally damage which can affect a company's long-term viabilities and profitabilities. Overall, regulatory compliance is essential for sustaining business integrity and protecting stakeholders, investors. Let us next we discuss about importance of company. So limited liability protection. So companies offer limited liabilities to the shareholders, meaning that the personal asset of the owners are protected from the company's debt and liabilities. This encourages individuals to invest in business venture without the fear of losing personal wealth. Next one is ability to raising capital. So comparing companies can raising a significant capital through the sale of shares and issuance of bonds. This ability to attract investment is crucial for expansion, innovation, sustaining operations, providing a solid foundation for growth. Third one is perpetual existence. So companies have perpetual successions, allowing them to continue existence independently for changes in ownership or the death of shareholders. This stability is essential for long-term planning and maintaining ongoing relationship with customers, suppliers and employees. So fourth one is professional management. The separation of ownership and management enables companies to employ professional managers who can bring expertise and experience to the organization. This structure faster efficient operations, better decision making and strategic planning. And next, enhance creditability. Being a registered company enhance creditability and trust among customers, suppliers and investors. This formal recognition signifies that the companies adhere to regulation to standard, promoting a positive reputation in the market. And next one is facilitates business growth. So companies are better positioned to expand the operations, enter new markets and diversify the product lines due to the access to capital and resources. This growth potentials contribute to job creation and economic development. Next one is regulatory compliance and accountability. So companies are subject to regulation that promote transparency and accountability, ensuring that they operate ethically and responsibly. This regulatory framework protect the interest of shareholders, the stakeholders, while fostering a fair business environment. Next one is flexibility in ownership transfer. The transferabilities of share allows for easy buying and selling of ownership stake, which facilitate investment and liquidity in the market. This features encourages investment from a broader range of individuals and institutions. So next one is incentives for innovation. So companies can incentivize innovation by investing in research and development, attracting talent, and creating an environment conducive to creativity. This focus on innovation can lead to new products, services, and technologies that benefit societies. Next one is contribution to economic growth. So companies play a vital role in a company by generating employment, paying taxes, and contributing to the overall economic development of a region or country. These activities stimulate economic growth and improving living standards. Next, we discuss about kinds of companies. So, first, the companies can be classified based on the various criteria such as the ownership, liabilities, size, control, and jurisdiction. Here are the main types of classification. The first one is based on incorporation. So, statutory companies. These companies are created by a special act of parliament or state legislative. They are governed by the provisions of the act and are typically formed to carry out specific functions such as government related activities. For example, Reserve Bank of India. Next, registered companies. These are companies that are formed and registered under the Companies Act or a similar statute in the country. Most private and public companies fall under this category. So, second classification is based on liabilities. Limited liabilities company. So, in these companies, the liabilities of members or shareholders is limited to the amount unpaid and the shares. If a company faces financial issues, shareholders are only liable for money investment in the shares they hold. Next, unlimited liabilities companies. This liabilities of members in this type of company is most limited in case of liquidations or debt in the members are personally responsible for setting the company liability with their asset if needed. So next, company limited by guarantee. So in this type of companies, members liability is limited to the amount they guarantee to contribute in the event of the company liquidations. Such companies are often non-profits. The third classification is based on ownership. So, private limited companies. A private limited companies restricts the transfer of shares and limits the number of shareholders to 50. If we cannot raise a fund from the public and enjoy more privacy in operations compared to public companies. Next, public limited companies. The public limited companies can raise fund by issuing shares to the public. So it is required to disclose the financial information regularly and has no limits on the number of shareholders. So public companies are typically listed on stock exchanges. So fourth classification is based on control. So first one is holding company. A company that control another company by owning the majority of the shares. It does not necessarily engages in direct operation but oversees and manages these activities. This activities of its subsidiaries. Next, subsidiary companies. So a company that is controlled by hold company either fully or partially. The holding companies owns more than 50% of the subsidiary shares. Next, fifth classification is based on the nationalities. So based on a nationalities, it is a domestic company. See, a company that operate and is incorporation with the country where it conducting its business, it is governed by the law of the particularly country. Next, foreign company. A foreign company incorporated outside a country but doing business within the country. These companies must comply with local regulation regarding foreign entities. Next, multinational company. See, a multinational companies operates in multiple countries, but its headquarters in one. So it usually has a global presence in terms of production, distribution, and marketing. Sixth classification is based on size. The small company. A company is considered small if it meets specific criteria defined by law regarding turnover, profit, and number of employees. Such companies enjoy fewer regulatory requirements. So next, large company. A large company exceeds the criteria set for small companies, often generating significant revenues and having a substantial number of employees. Large companies are subject to more stringent regulation. Seventh classification is based on membership. One person company. A relative new concept where a single individual can start and operate a company. The owners enjoy limited liability while having full control over the company operations. Next, joint stock company. See, a company where ownership is distributed among shareholders holding stocks. This structure allows for easy transfer of shares and shareholders. So liabilities is limited to the investment. Thank you.